With a town so steeped in history, who better to give us the grand tour than the town historian? Tim, what a place to start, 300-year-old church.
308 years old to be exact, Al, and it comes with its own historic cemetery. This church is the oldest building in Wickford, but it wasn't built here. In 1707, it was built out in Shermantown Road in the Slocum section of town. Back then, that was the center of the universe here in South County. But by 1800, Wickford was the center of the universe. The citizens of Wickford went down there and took it apart, stick by stick, hauled it back here and reassembled it on this site.
Has it always functioned as a church?
No, Al, actually, as the Church of England during the Revolutionary War, it was used as a barracks for the Revolutionary War soldiers who were fighting against the very British who used to worship in this place.
So it was multi-purpose?
Yeah, multi-purpose.
And is it still used today?
It is. It's used in July and August. It's open for worship. People can come down here to Wickford and go to a church service that's held exactly as it was 300 years ago, Al.
Wow. We'll be visiting several historic places in Wickford throughout the show, so stay tuned. We're back with town historian Tim Cranston. Tim, we're in front of the oldest house in Wickford to be owned by a black man.
That's right, Al. Indeed, this may be the oldest house in all of Rhode Island built specifically for a black family. This gentleman's name was Domini Smith.
Domini, that sounds almost Italian.
Yes, you're right, Al. It does sound Italian because slave owners back in the 1700s, they often selected classic Italian and Greek names to name their slaves. And that's what Domini Smith began his life as, a slave.
So what did he do to earn a house like this?
Domini Smith worked in the farms for the Smith family, but the Smiths, they wanted to make more money off of him, so they trained him with a very specific skill that they could rent him out to ship owners sailing out of Wickford. They trained him to be a mariner, but Domini, when he was freed, took the skills, taught him by a slave owner, and made a great life for himself.
What a success story.
Yes, and like every house in Wickford, this place is beautifully restored.
Tim, it certainly is. Back again with town historian Tim Cranston. Tim, where are we now?
This is the Wickford House, and although it's got a history that dates back to 1769 when it was the home of Sea Captain Alexander Hewling, it's really remembered as the Wickford House when it was a restaurant during the middle 1800s.
Restaurants? I didn't even know they had restaurants. What kind of food?
Well, the apprentices who owned and ran the place, they cooked good American food, Al. Roast beef, meatloaf, baked chicken, and of course lots of seafood. This is Wickford after all.
Do we know who the cook was?
Ellen Prentice herself was the cook. She was such an exceptional cook that the Astors and the Vanderbilts kept coming over from Newport and tried to lure her back to cook for them.
Did she follow the money?
She did not. She loved Wickford so much she stayed here throughout her days. She ended her life here in Wickford.
Ah, good for her. I like that lady.
Yeah, just like many people, when they come to Wickford, they stay.
We're at our last stop with town historian Tim Cranston. Tim, no parking meters in Wickford. Instead, they've got these.
Yeah, that's right, Al. This is actually a hitching post. Back in the day, you'd tie your horse up here, and this is a mounting block. Your lady friends can climb up on her horse with ease.
Oh, a built-in stool.
Yeah, a permanent built-in stool.
Now, the entry to this house is a little bit different.
Yes, this house was built by Jabez Bullock, a master cabinet maker. And it's actually his calling card. It's actually thought that Jabez was probably responsible for almost all the fancy doorways in the village. Carry the story forward a little bit after that, and the house is owned by Allen Mason Thomas. Now, this is interesting, Al. Allen Mason Thomas's son, Nathaniel, was one of the first priests sent out to the Wild West. His first assignment was as the chaplain at Leavenworth Penitentiary. He gave last rites to every gunslinger that was hung in that prison. Carry the story farther up another century, and we have World War II time frame. Henry Fonda rented an apartment here while he was stationed at Quonset, Davisville.
Wow, this is like the tale of 2 centuries.
That's right. Just like every house in Wickford, these places have an incredible story to tell us.
And thank you for sharing some of those stories today.
It's been my pleasure, Al.